fellas. There it is, baby. The big this starts it. This starts it right here. This is game time. We get to see kind of where the Chiefs are, baby. Got the Chargers, got Jameis experience. By the way, I cannot wait for that next week. I'm scared to death, but really excited for the Jameis experience. And then, got the Texans, the Steelers, Broncos. Hey, we're gonna see what the Chiefs are made of, baby. Coming off them two sorry ass teams that they played way too close. But I'm ready to go, baby. God, dog, my hair looks rough. I'm ready to go. Feeling good, baby. I have not noticed this, sir. Have you noticed this? Like, you have really pronounced fangs, BK. I don't know that I've really.
Oh, yeah.
Like they are. I mean, that is serious.
I'm surprised that you've never noticed that before. It's one of my features. I've got a really large nose, a small head, and big fangs. That's kind of my thing.
I've noticed the nose, but the nose can't miss it. But
I guess I've never paid that close attention, but now I can't stop staring at it.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
You can't stop staring at which one? The fangs or the nose?
Yes.
The fangs.
They are aggressive. Like,
man.
Like I'm talking Jim Carrey once bitten. I mean, they're like he's got it. Like I'm checking mine now. And
no, you don't have mine are like they protrude out and down, so it's like 2 for 2. The like extra mustache going on kind of brings light to it.
While you're doing it.
It highlights it a little bit. So it's almost like a real question in your mind of like, do you go with this or not?
Do you pass this down? Like, I want to know if your son's gonna get this.
I don't know. It's a fair question. My sister has them as well, so I would imagine.
Does she?
Yeah, I would imagine it's pretty genetic. I don't think there's any getting away from this. Like, I have really skinny legs as well. It's something that I was like one of the first things that I was like curious about with Luca is like, is he gonna have like normal sized legs? At first, man, he had the chonker legs. Not anymore. He's already losing it. It's game over.
Like you're saying, you have skinny legs that you can't do nothing about. Like
there's
this is
just nothing.
Like a Wembanyama thing where you can't gain weight.
Like, just specifically like from like I've got a nice ass, but the actual like lower limbs.
No, you can't. No, you can't tell. You can't claim that you have a nice ass on your own.
I think you can. BK goes running a lot. He probably works those muscles out.
But I mean,
mine is flat. I did not do enough for my butt at all.
But some people are just blessed with ass, and like I mean, even with no matter how hard you work, like I don't.
That's all I've got though. Yeah, that's it. Like it's just my butt. Nothing. There was no gift anywhere else. Like lower legs on calves are like the size of my arms.
Maybe your ass is enhanced by the small legs. Maybe
good point.
I'll be honest. I've not seen you in a while. I didn't think what great ass.
We'll check it out next time. We're both in KC at the same time. Well, I'll wear the tight jeans for you, Ron. It'll just be for you. We can have a moment together, and we can have a judgment right then and there.
Yeah, I'm gonna be looking at your ass. Like I want to make that clear. Like that is what's happening.
Yeah, Serda will be on one side, just not being able to stop looking at my fangs, and you'll be on the other, just checking out my ass for the whole night. It'll be great.
Yeah, I guess.
I didn't know this is how we were starting today. What a start.
I don't know what is happening, but I am going to be on fangs and ass the next time I see you. That's where it's going to be, little fangs and ass the next time I see you. All right.
That's the title of this episode.
Like this is the first time I have been concerned into thinking that this team may not be able to achieve the goals that we thought it could. I mean, they're 11-1, they're winning, but these last 2 games, I'm looking and I'm just like, yo, what is going on with this team? And they have such a big hole at tackle, at both tackles, really, left and right tackle. And the thought is, yo, I don't know if they can survive. This is the first time where I am no longer, fellas, just leaning on, hey, I saw what they did last year. I saw how good they were, and hey, they were bad in the regular season. They pulled it together in the postseason. This is the first time, BK, I can't just lean on that because they're just not. I mean, this is multiple games against opponents that they should be better against.
It's weird because if you look individually at some of these games, like there are moments where it feels like the Chiefs are getting ready to pull away. Like even just this past week in this game against the Raiders, right? You had that series where they go up 16-3. They had the chance to score a touchdown there, go up 20-3, and it felt like the game was potentially going to be over, but they have to settle for the field goal. They go up 16-3. It's only a 2-possession game at that point. And then Vegas scores a touchdown on their next drive. And then you have, I think it was like a turnover or something. And then Tucker with that, or it was the long return. Tucker ends up with the big pass. And then boom, suddenly the Raiders, like 4 minutes later, are up 17-16. And it turned like that. And that seems to be the issue that happens at times for this team is they're having a real problem putting teams away. Like the Panthers game, they were up 27-16 late in the third quarter in that one. That never should have been a game that was in question, and yet it was for some reason. So I there's just little stuff that's happening. This is not, I don't feel the same way, strangely enough, this year that I felt about the Chiefs in 2023. Last year, I didn't think it was a very good football team. Like there were just too many times where I didn't see how they could possibly get that thing together. They just had too many faults, especially offensively, where they were a disaster for most of the season. It felt like there were too many question marks for them to be able to overcome. And I didn't know if they could win just purely on defense. And then eventually they get to the postseason. You see them against Miami. It's like, oh, I see how this works. Like they just start throwing the ball to the three players that matter. They run the ball like crazy, and you have this amazing defense. Like, okay, yeah, this can work in the postseason. I don't think, strangely enough, that they're that far off right now offensively. It's just a couple plays here, a couple plays there. Those are off. Like one of the Xavier Worthy plays just at some point has to connect. And suddenly you're breaking these games open, and then maybe you put these teams away. Maybe that's me just telling myself a story, though, and trying to believe something that's not there. Serda, where are you at on this? Are you, because I understand any Chiefs fan right now that's nervous. You should be nervous. They're 11-1, but they haven't played well in more than a month. Where are you at on this team, Serda?
If I was going to put my faith in anything, even based on off of the evidence that we have over the last 2 seasons with this team, it would be that come playoffs, the offense will figure it out to make enough plays, to connect on a couple of plays a game that make the difference when it matters most for them. But the reason I felt like you could be that confident going into last postseason is because I knew the defense was solidified and you could rely on that. And so this season I was like, even though the tackles are a disaster, like if they just figure out something like some kind of game plan for the playoffs, like they can get around that. They can make enough plays. Now, I'm not totally convinced. Like, I still think they're one of the absolute best teams in the NFL. I still think they can go on a run and beat any team in the league. But with this defense playing this way against the competition that they've been playing against, I've got serious questions about whether or not the defense can hold up this season in the playoffs. And I think that's what's got me more worried, way more than the tackles do in the offensive line at this point.
Yeah, this is just the first time since the Tampa game in the Super Bowl where I'm like, yo, they can't function. Like they just couldn't function in the game with their tackle situation. That was the first time that I've noticed that. I was like, they can't function. They can't run plays. They can't run offense with the tackle situation. So like the DJ Humphrey thing is obviously really, really key to see if they can function. Because they I mean, it was just like we can't even run enough plays. It's like eventually the next 3 to 5 plays, they're gonna get them. And that's what I said before. It's like it wasn't Max Crosby killing them. It was Chasen killing them. It's like anybody could kill them. And that's to me, that's made me really concerned because I know there are plays that are there and I know there are things that can be done. But like they got those 2 gaping holes where it's like, yo, like it's almost like what can you do to combat them? And listen, I love Nick Wright. Like he is my guy. I love Nick Wright. but I think Nick is full of it when he goes out and says, "Hey, the Chiefs are practicing and they're trying things on the field." No, bro, this stuff ain't working. Like they're not. They weren't sitting there thinking, "Oh, at 19-6, we're good," or like let's start trying stuff. No, man. Like the Carolina Panthers game, that defense, when they were handed the lead multiple times, they weren't sitting there trying to try stuff. They were trying to stop Bryce Young. They were trying to stop Aiden O'Connell. They couldn't because they have gaping holes. It's like on both sides. On offense, at some point, somebody is going to get a pass rush and going to get one home and get one quickly. Like I saw that you can see in the game. Like Travis and Patrick don't even have time to do their little ad lib stuff where nobody knows they're running around because he don't got time to throw it. And and then on defense, like at some point, Shamari Connor's on somebody. And we gonna go hunting. 13 when he's in the game is on somebody. Like we would see it. Oh, a couple of nice stops. And then what did they do on a couple of drives? Bam, they found Shamari Connor. And somehow they found Shamari Connor on their best guy. Hell, Trent McDuffie was on their best guy. But it just seems like there is a hole that can be exploited eventually right now. And the Chiefs don't seem to have anything to combat it.
And that's something that I'm really curious about on if other teams will follow the formula that Vegas appears to have on the Chiefs. They've done this now a few different times. Like Vegas has played the Chiefs really well. They're kind of doing the Chargers do this as well, but the Raiders and the Chargers seem to have figured out, okay, if you just take away the run and take away the middle of the field and force the Chiefs to win outside of the numbers and like down the field, the crazy thing is the way that the Chiefs used to want to play, they've become such a different team that now if you force them to play that way again, and now they're having to do like deep shots to Xavier Worthy, deep shots to DeAndre Hopkins, basically playing the way that the Bengals do all game long. It's really hard for the Chiefs to do that consistently. What the Chiefs want to do is like 7, 8, 9 yards at a pop, then run the ball at 4 yards a pop, and then boom, matriculate the ball down the field. And the Raiders basically took that away. They brought the safety into the box. They were playing across the middle, taking everything away there. And it was really hard for the Chiefs to move the ball consistently. And then on the other side of the ball, they were like, hey, we're just going to expose whoever it is that you put into the slot. Like if you're going to go with Shamari Connor there, we're just going to throw it against him all day long. And it was smart, man. And so it got me to thinking, Ron, because I saw Ryan Fitzpatrick tweet after the game as well, who was there because of the Amazon Prime stuff. He was saying he just doesn't like the vibe of the Chiefs. And if you saw any of the videos afterwards, it's not hard to see why. Like they were pretty upset after that win. And I don't blame them. I didn't have a good time watching that game either. And one of the things that he brought up was, it kind of reminded him of the Eagles from last year. So I looked up, Ron, the teams that had won at least 10 of their first 12 games, but had a point differential kind of similar to what the Chiefs are at right now, which is not overly impressive given their record. And the Eagles are included on that list from last year. And they ended up losing in the wild card round. The 2022 Vikings, who everybody knew was a fraud going into the postseason, they went 13-4 that year. They lost in the wild card round. 2019 Seahawks finished 11-5 after starting 10-2. They lost in the divisional round. The 2019 Saints, 13-3, lost in the wild card. 2016 Raiders, 12-4, lost in the wild card. You got to go back to the 2015 Broncos to find a team that started out the year the way that the Chiefs have, with a similar point differential, that made it past the divisional round, man. It's been a decade since we've seen it. So the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because, like, when we ask the questions of, were we too high on the Chiefs? Or are other people too low on the Chiefs? Like, what are we supposed to make of this team? This is what we're talking about. Are they the 2015 Broncos who basically sleptwalked through the season, but had this elite level defense and Peyton Manning, and they figured it out by the end? Or are they last year's Eagles? And I don't know the answer to that question right now. And it's hard for me to figure it out, but they have Mahomes, they have Andy, and that gives me faith that they're at least not last year's Eagles, but I don't know, man. I don't know.
And I think they are better than last year's Eagles. Like I'm not ready to hit that kind of panic button because that team totally fell off a cliff midway through the season. Like,
it's got the potential for that though, man. And I'm not calling for it, but like you got the Chargers this week. That is not an easy game. You go on the road at Cleveland. That could get ugly. Not in terms of like the Chiefs losing, but just an ugly football game, weather on the road, big time pass rush, etc. You're playing 3 games in 10 days coming up, including one on Christmas Day at Pittsburgh, who is the exact kind of team that could exploit this team's weaknesses. We've already seen them struggle with Denver. Now you're going on the road against them in the final week of the season. Like, there is a potential for a miniature collapse down the stretch if they're not careful.
I can't, not with the Eagles. They've got too many adults in the house. Like that is it what the Eagles were rolling through. And it had to be a hell of a collapse for them to, lose the division and lose. Like the Eagles ended up losing the division and playing road game to open up. I don't see that. I'm not saying that they may not get to where they want to get to. Like that could possibly happen. I don't think it'll be the because of the Eagles, like the way that the Eagles did. The Eagles did just in-house. They just fell apart. There was clearly something, and we had to have a whole bunch of people get fired over there. I don't know that is the case with the Chiefs. But the thing is, we know Serda that they've got that little flip the switch quality that they can do, and they've proven to do. My thing is these next couple of weeks, especially with the new left tackle, like there ain't no flipping the switch on the left and right tackle. There ain't no flipping the switch on, Johnson and Shamari Connor being on the field at the same time in coverage. Like there's no or having to have multiple safeties have to cover receivers. But there ain't no flipping the switch. Those guys just aren't capable of filling those roles. So are they going to change that, or are they going to have guys step in that can?
See, and I think that is the difference. Like that Eagles team and staff was just a total disaster last year. And Steve Spagnuolo, like, we finally got some Joshua Williams last week, and it was awesome. Like, it was what we've been asking for weeks. And so it's like, even if they are stubborn at times, eventually they'll make the adjustments. And I don't know who they have to replace Shamari Connor, really, but I hope that they try to figure something out, because Shamari Connor is not a guy that doesn't never belong on the field. Like he's got a role that he can fit. And then when he has to play coverage, he is god awful. And so you just simply do not want him in coverage. But the offensive line is a problem. And the point differential thing is like totally fair for this Chiefs team. But it's like, if Rashee Rice doesn't go down, if Hollywood Brown doesn't go down, if Isaiah Pacheco doesn't go down, like I feel like we're having a totally different conversation about this Chiefs offense this season, but those things did happen, and this is where we are. And so all you can do right now is maybe Hollywood Brown is going to come back soon. Isaiah Pacheco had a nice 30-yard run last week. Hopefully he can build on that again this week. And hopefully they just give you a couple performances to feel better about the offense. And hopefully DJ Humphries is simply the answer at left tackle, and he's just good enough to get you by.
And that's what it has to be. At BK, I know you love your stats. But, like, this is the one that, I guess when we talk about point differential and things of that nature, is they lead the league in red zone field goals. And they've already kicked more red zone field goals this year than they did the entirety of the 17 weeks last year. Like that's a big reason why their point differential is what it is. It is a big reason why they're not scoring more points. And it's a big reason why these, like, just one. How many second half field goals that kid kicked? I mean, he kicked a good 3 or 4. If one of those, and many of those are in the red zone, if one of those are touchdowns, it's like just one. It's a completely different game and a different feel of what you have. So like that's the thing that has been scary to me though, is, hey man, like when are y'all gonna make an adjustment? Like how many more times does Shamari Connor or does let me put it like this, because when I say Shamari Connor, it feels like I'm just saying he needs to be off the field the way you said that, sir, to know. But how many times does your passing game have to get beat when you have Cook, Shamari Connor, and who's the other safety? 20.
Justin Reed.
Justin Reed. When you have all three of them on the field together, and two of them are covering tight ends and wide receivers, how many times does your team have to get beat before you change something? How many times? Okay, Joshua Williams seemed to be an adjustment. Now he can go flaky himself, but right now it seemed to be an adjustment. Who was that Keith Taylor guy? They brought him in. Seemed to be an adjustment. And then now obviously Joe Tooney. We've seen Wanya Morris for the last time. I mean, there'd have to be 2 or 3. There'd have to be 3 to 4 things have to occur to get Wanya back on the field, right? So now they're going to have made an adjustment there, but that's the other part is I'm not gonna lie. I would have thought we would have found and solved and had a better understanding of what the adjustment would be to these issues that they have, and that has not occurred.
I'm with you. And down the stretch, that's ultimately what they need to prove. They need to prove, hey, DJ Humphries is our answer, and it's going to work. Xavier Worthy can be an answer at wide receiver, and it's going to work. We have Joshua Williams, who we've been keeping on ice for whatever reason most of the season, and it's going to work. And you ask, what's the adjustment? The adjustment is putting Trip McDuffie back into the slot. And it doesn't have to be full-time. To your point, Serda, hey, first and second down, not obvious running downs, or not obvious passing downs, excuse me. Yeah, go ahead and put Shamari Connor in there for those situations. And then on third down, it's basically like a sub package that you would go to. Have him, McDuffie, kick inside. You bring in, I know nobody is going to be thrilled to hear this, but on those spots, you bring in Najee Johnson, put him into the outside, because I think as a coverage guy, Najee is better than Shamari Connor. And you've got now a potential weapon with Trip McDuffie to either go up against the potential best receiver that's in the slot or to blitz on those downs. There's just a bunch of different stuff that you can do with him on those situations. So I think they have some potential answers. I thought the pass rush looked a little better last week with a Minihue back into the mix. There's stuff that can work and click for them. Pacheco, to your point, coming back is going to be huge for the running game with the explosiveness. You saw that on the longest rush that they've had all season with that 34-yarder. There are things that they are showing that can be answers down the stretch. They just have to get to them, and there's 5 weeks left to be able to do it.
For me, that's where my confidence is kind of waning is, do they really got answers here? Do they really have good enough answers here? All right, let's do it. We do it every week when the Chiefs have the ball, and let's jump right into it, because when the Chiefs have the ball, the biggest thing that we're going to look at is the thing that almost cost them the most to me offensively, and that's with the Raiders, and that's the offensive line, and that is the tackle position. We saw when they kicked Joe Tooney out to left tackle from left guard and brought in 66, who they for some reason want to run dig routes on 4th and 1 in Buffalo. When they kicked him inside, you knew, DJ Humphries, you better be ready, and there's going to be something different. If DJ ain't ready, then they'll kick. They'll kick and do what they did at the end and kick Joe Tooney back out to left tackle. All signs, right, Serda, seem like that DJ Humphries is going to play. Andy spoke highly of him. Pat spoke highly of him. It seems like he is trending to be the left tackle. Let's see what he can do. And that's the thing. That's the biggest watch of this game. What is he? Can he be average like he has been before? That will be doable. Clearly, God, he's got to be better, you would think, than what they've been rolling out there with Kingsley and then Wanya. But what is he going to be, and how much can he hold up? And fellas, there ain't no warm-ups for you, Jack. Hey, man, we're going to find out, and the Chiefs are going to find out and know if he can do enough, because he's got Bosa, he's got Khalil Mack, and who's that other guy? Tualupa Toa, what's his name? Tualupa Toa, that feels right. He's got 7 sacks on the season. I don't know. Is that right, sir?
I call him Tui. I don't know what his full last name. I don't know how you pronounce it. I just call him Tui.
Tui Polatua. I don't know. Polatua. Yeah. You're muted, sir, if you were trying to say it.
I don't have it any better than either of you.
Yeah.
Just call him Thule. That's it.
OTT, because it's TT.
You good.
OT squared. They're rolling out. Hey, good luck. Myles Garrett next week. Hey, good luck. After that, Will Anderson, Danielle Hunter. Hey, good luck. After that, the TJ Watt and Highsmith if he's healthy. Hey, good luck after that. That Denver Broncos defensive line of that nuts over there. He's second in the league in sacks right now. And Benito and Cooper. Like, good luck. Like, they're gonna find out what they have on the offensive line. But DJ Humphrey, to me, I can't think of a more important thing to be looking at this week than him.
Dude, the crazy thing is that the bar to clear is not particularly high. This is a team that has won with, listen, we love Eric Fisher. He was a good Chief, but he was a slightly above average left tackle in the league for his career, maybe at best. You end up going to Orlando Brown Jr., who had his positive traits, certainly, but was maybe a slightly above league average left tackle. And then Donovan Smith was a below league average left tackle for the Chiefs. So when you get through all of that, and then you get into what they've had this year, which is incompetent left tackle for the most part this season, if you are simply average or even like just below average, you have met the bar that you have to in order to be successful with this Kansas City Chiefs team. I think DJ Humphries can do that. He's coming off of a serious injury, dude. And it's hard to know if he's going to be able to come back from that and be the same guy that he was previously. A lot of the time, guys that are 30 plus years old, it takes a year and a half and sometimes even 2 years before they get there. So I don't know if he's going to be able to be 100%. But if you're average, you're good.
And Serda, as you've said, this was not the plan that he come back this quick.
Yeah.
Like they were hoping to maybe give him a little bit more before he came back. And now he's being forced because Wanye sucked. He's been forced. I mean, he did. I mean, he seems like a good person. Sorry. Hey, Azeez Al-Shire, nobody's talking about your personal you as a person. We're talking about you as a player. Him on the field, he sucked.
I mean, Wanye said it after the game. He said, I got my ass kicked. So he agrees with you.
Yes. Yes.
I think he knew, and Patrick Mahomes let him know. And Patrick Mahomes doesn't often do that, where everyone can see.
Oh yeah, his season ended right then and there on that 3rd and goal. His season ended.
I really think that DJ Humphries was he was an emergency backup plan. Like, let's just get him reps and get him going. And then maybe we put him in last couple regular season games of the year. And hopefully he is ready to roll for the playoffs. And then the Raiders dismantled Wanye Morris in a way that I don't think they were fully prepared for. And so all of a sudden, this thing that they were like, oh, it's going to be several weeks while he gets ramped up, gets back into football shape. All of a sudden it's, no, we need you right now. 1 week later, you are our starting left tackle. And I have no idea if it's going to work, but it's like, at this point, like, yeah, as long as he's not as bad as Wanye and Kingsley have been this season, like as long as he is like slightly below average, that's better than what you have had there. And at least he is a veteran who has had success against NFL pass rushers before. And he's still a guy that's looking for a next contract, that wants to continue his NFL career. And maybe if he proves that he can do that and does it in a big way with a team that's trying to win another Super Bowl, that'll get him a big payday down the line. That's basically all I'm clinging to at this point, in hopes that it's just better and that they somehow get some like kind of savior for the offensive line at that position this late in the season.
Hey, let me try this with you. If like the likes of Penei Sewell or Trent Williams are like at the very top when it comes to tackles, and then like,
yeah, he's not that.
No, he's not that. And then like, I don't know whoever's in the middle in that spot. Yeah, whatever. Like what level, like we know the Chiefs have been getting below it, but like what level of tackle play do you think they have been getting? Especially out of that left tackle spot.
The worst. I can't
like at
imagine.
at the absolute bottom. Like even below average would be an improvement
Yeah.
from what they've been getting.
Oh, dude, I think that they've had probably bottom 5 left tackle play in the NFL this year. I can't imagine there are more than 5 teams that have had worse left tackle play than the Chiefs.
Yeah, and the other part that's really not great is the right side is not been average, right? So like, yeah, that is the wonder what he is. But I tell you what would help DJ, unlike which didn't help Wanye or anybody else, is man, you can run the football. Like that's clear that can help. And we've seen that throughout the year. Like running the football, that is at least going to slow these guys down. And they've been all right, especially the guys inside, but they've been all right running the football. But to me, you can't just say F it. Like Andy had a damn flashback to Philly, to early Chiefs, he just said to hell with it. My man had a 13-play drive and threw it 13 times. I mean, you got to be kidding me. With the lead, I'm certain. Like, I mean, like they either led the whole way or were down by a point. They led the whole way or were down by a point. And for a small period of time, one drive, it took for them to take the lead back. And he ran that sucker. He dropped back 48 times. And it's crazy. Pacheco's coming back. You got Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. You're going against one of the worst run defenses. And Chasen and Diablo and Crosby are killing you, pass rushing. And he's like, nah, man, we're going to give them 7 apiece. 7 rushes apiece. Like, to me, with this team, you got to help those guys. You got to help them with the quick game. You got to help them with screens. And you got to help them with running the football. And when you're at full strength with your guys rushing the football, like with Kareem, with Pacheco, P-Ron, all them back there, you got to run the football. And to me, that is something they have to do to the Chargers, because you can't just sit. You can't get to a space where Khalil Mack and Bosa and Tate are just in a space where they're like, yo, I'm just pinning my ears back and I'm coming, because I have no fear that you're going to run the football. Can't do that.
Totally agree. This is something that last week was a bit frustrating at times. Now, I did understand it to a degree because they had very heavy boxes. You were not going to be able to run with it or against it with any sort of like consistency. But the Chiefs on the season, if you just look at success rate, which is like getting half of your yards on first down, half of them on second down, and then ultimately getting the first down on third down, the Chiefs are a very successful run team. They're 4th in the NFL right now, behind only the Commanders, the Rams, and the Detroit Lions. They're actually ahead of teams like the Ravens and the Eagles when it comes to success rate with their running game. Now, what they don't do is have any kind of explosive runs. On the season, they have 23 runs of at least 10 yards. The only teams in the NFL that have fewer are the Vegas Raiders and the Dallas Cowboys, both of whom have like no running backs to speak of right now on their roster. So the Chiefs' running game is very clear in terms of how it is effective. They get you 4 yards on almost every single play. In that game, they didn't, though. And that's something that I'm going to be honing in on in this game, Ron, because like last week, Isaiah Pacheco had 34 yards on 1 carry. On their other 14 carries, they had a combined 25 yards. Or on the other 13 carries, it was 25 yards.
Between him and Hunt, yeah.
2 yards per carry? That can't happen, dude. If this team's going to be this like physical, grind it out, get 4 yards a pop, you better get 4 yards a pop. Otherwise, the offense collapses the way that we saw last week. And this is a defense you should be able to run against. They'll give you that. So I want to see it. I'm totally with you. 1 week, that's a one-off. That's the outlier. They've been good on the ground most of the season. I want to see them get back to that this week against the Chargers.
I just want to see Pacheco. Like, the one thing, and I know I've been critical of the Chiefs offensive line as a whole, and like, you know, we saw the tackles totally unravel last week, but like the interior I think can still be better, but it is the best, most functional part of the offensive line. And the Raiders know that, and they were not allowing the Chiefs to run, even though the run defense has been garbage all season. And I just want to see some explosive plays on the ground. Like Kareem Hunt, valiant effort this season, dude. Came in off the couch. You were great for the Chiefs for a stretch, But you did exactly what a 29, 30-year-old running back coming in off the couch is supposed to do. You look good for a few weeks, getting a bunch of touches, and the Chiefs are running into the ground. Now you're starting to slow down and you're becoming less efficient. Now you bring in Isaiah Pacheco and you create some explosive runs, maybe mix in Kareem Hunt on passing downs. Like, let's give Pacheco 15 touches and see what happens. Like, I'm totally on board with that this week.
I get that, and I want to see Pacheco. And we've been talking about it. Like, we saw immediately, like, oh, the burst. That's what people have been talking about. That's been going. But like, you don't even have to like end it with Kareem. I think there's still a good space and role for him. I mean, you can't just. Nobody's going to get in the rhythm of nothing with 14 carries, 7 apiece. So like that. That was the other part is they didn't even like. At least McCole Hardman will get one. Jet sweep to maybe change things up a little bit. If they're going to stack the box, maybe something outside. Maybe we didn't even see Worthy didn't get a carry. McCole Hardman didn't get a carry. There was no kind of, any other way of running the football. It was just, hell with it, man. Let's just throw this puppy and keep putting sacks at risk. So it was really, really weird. All right. When the Chargers get the ball, speaking of the Chiefs running the football, I think when you play the Chargers, it is still a thing when you look at, well, they got that Justin Herbert, and he can do whatever. When if you watch them the last time they played Sunday Night Football a couple weeks ago against the Bengals, he was airing that puppy out. He was going toe-to-toe with Joe Burrow and won the game. But still, all season long, this team and Jim Harbaugh is a run-first team, clearly. Now, J.K. Dobbins being hurt kind of changes the game a little bit. We saw how that completely changed the game when they played the Ravens on Monday Night Football a couple weeks ago. But they're going to want to run the football. And that is the first thing you got to stop. Last week, they won a football game when Justin Herbert threw for 143 yards. And I'd say he probably threw less than 50 in the second half. And they won the game 17-13. Now, Kirk Cousins was in a giving mood, but still, that like they can win games without that because they've been able to run the football. That's what they've got to focus on and stop that, because this is a team that wants to run it first.
And the Chiefs have been really good against the run this year, basically up until last week. This is another one of those. What was that about? This is another one of those things, Ron, that I'm looking at and I'm just wondering, okay, was that a one-off? Is this a trend? What's going on here? Because the Chiefs gave up 115 yards on the ground to running backs by the Las Vegas Raiders. They had not done that against a running back all year long. Like the Ravens ran for 185, but a lot of that was from Lamar. The Bills ran for 104, but a lot of that was from Josh Allen. The 49ers even, the other team that had run for 100 yards against the Chiefs this year. There's only been 3 of them prior to last week. They actually had 25 yards on the ground in that game from Brock Purdy. So every other team this year that had success on the ground did so primarily because they had a quarterback that was a threat with their legs until last week. And then the Vegas Raiders just ran wild against the Chiefs, and I didn't understand it. The Chargers are going to try to do the same thing. They're going to look at the game plan that the Vegas Raiders had against the Chiefs and say, we can go ahead and follow that to a T. We can win with these receivers that are going across the middle, exploiting Shamari Connor. We can win with a guy going deep on the outside with Quentin Johnston. And then we can win with just running the hell out of the football. My hope is the Chiefs will have something game plan wise from Spags that will slow down the passing game. And the Chiefs personnel, which has been really good against the run all season long. It's the first time we've seen this under Spags where they're actually a legitimately good run defense, can get back to doing that. On the year, they're allowing 3.7 yards per carry. Show that that was real and that last week was an outlier, and then I can go back to not having to worry about the run defense, because right now I'm at least on alert about it. It's something that I'm curious to see how they are able to adjust this week against the Chargers.
The other part about this is Jim Harbaugh, and I think Jim Harbaugh desperately is going to want to send a message. Serda, I think Jim Harbaugh probably in his mind all week is, we got to physically dominate them. That's what he's about. Like you think about Michigan, you think about the 49ers, and you think about what the Chargers have been. He is coming into this bad boy. It is, we got to physically beat them up. We got to punch them in the mouth, and we can do it. Not like I would be surprised if they make it a point to just try to physically run the football early and often to do this. And the Chiefs got to be ready to match that. And because that's what Jim built himself on is the physicality. And I don't think they come into this game thinking we got to score a bunch of points. I think Jim Harbaugh comes in the mindset we got to physically beat a guy up. This is a fool who had J.J. McCarthy on his team and just wouldn't throw the football in a game against a ranked opponent with Michigan last year because he just wanted to be physical. So I think that's why the run thing is so serious. I think Jim's way of we're arrived. We're going to show the Chiefs who we are, and this is who we are. We're going to physically run the football.
Yeah, and that's probably what they should do, but I don't totally know if that's what they're going to do in this game. That's what they want to do generally. But like that was a lot more effective with J.K. Dobbins and Dobbins being on the shelf for this one. Like Gus Edwards is just bad. Like Gus Edwards is not good anymore. Like he's just had too many significant injuries. Like he's just slow. He doesn't create explosive plays. He's not really a tackle breaker the way that he used to be. Like Kamani Vidal's interesting. They keep putting in, I think, Hassan Haskins in at different moments, but like that I don't know if they're going to be totally confident in their run game being effective, but the way the Chiefs secondary has struggled in the passing game and the way Herbert has played, like Herbert should have some opportunities to try to beat you through the air, but I do think that they go into the game thinking, well, we'd prefer to just run the ball 35 times. Like if we can, like we'd prefer to just run it down their throat. But if they can't get anything going early against this Chiefs run defense, like I would not be shocked if they totally abandon that and just let Justin Herbert uncork this thing.
Side note, Herbert running the football makes me a little nervous too. The Chiefs have not they've let some of these mobile guys get you. The first time they played Justin, he had that high ankle sprain and he was coming in that and he wasn't even running. Here of late, like he had 60, 70 yards, I believe, against the Bengals and just he could he's a dude that can eat up 30 quick. I mean, he's not Josh because he doesn't do it as much, but he is a big dude that moves a lot faster. Like his legs, he has the ability to do stuff that Mahomes does. To where he finds up and you look up there and damn, this Joker then got 58 yards. Where did that come from? So like that one does concern me a bit with Justin Herbert.
Yeah, I think that's a big part of this. I also am just in general interested to see what Spags decides to do. Like we talked earlier today about McDuffie and potentially kicking him into the slot. This is a game where you're going up against basically one receiver that can hurt you, and that's Ladd McConkey. And the last time that these teams met, he did hurt you. He's going to almost exclusively play out of the slot, Ron. That's where he lines up. So you know where he's going to be. And you have a guy in McDuffie who at his best has played in the slot primarily. And you have a slot corner right now that is struggling mightily in coverage. If you get into obvious passing situations, even if you don't do it on like first, second down, standard downs, run downs, whatever, I would love to see Spags this week decide, you know what? Let's go ahead and do it. Let's unleash it. Let's go with McDuffie in the slot on obvious passing downs at a minimum. If he put him there on every down, I'd be fine with it. But at a minimum, if you put him there on passing downs, I think it would be something that's effective for them. So that's one of those potential wrinkles that I would love to see in a game like this.
This should be the perfect setup for the Chiefs in terms of what the Chargers do, with the best Chargers, the best of the Chargers when it comes to them in the passing game fits what is the best of the Chiefs. And the Chiefs can struggle. Like McDuffie, if you're not going to exclusively play McDuffie in the slot and play him like you did last year, then at the very least, he should be following the number one receiving threat. And in this game, that both of those meet into the same. Ladd McConkey, and it's because it's not close. Ladd McConkey's got over 400 more receiving yards than the next closest guy. He's got like 815 behind that, is in the low fours or something. He is clearly the number one threat. And you've got a guy that does his best work in the slot. Like, we should see him on him all the time. Because even if he's in the slot, you can still blitz him off of him. You can do whatever you want to do. This makes too much sense for Steve Spagnuolo and how he should handle this thing with McDuffie and McConkey. I'm gonna be furious if I see 27 somewhere locked up on him. I don't care if it's first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth down. I don't care what down it is. If I ever see 27 somewhere locked up with him, I don't care if he's got help. That's a problem. That's stupid time. All right. There's no reason that he needs to be on Joshua Palmer while they've tricked you into putting Ladd McConkey in the slot and getting a favorable matchup. Because I'm telling you, I don't know that I have very much confidence with anybody covering him in the slot except for McDuffie. So to me, this one makes way too much sense on how they should handle this. All right, sir, to give me my music. This is you got me thinking about Trent McDuffie, and let's do a little certified or imposter. If you don't know the rules, certified or imposter, we throw out a statement, and is that statement certified or imposter? And Steve, this is the one leading with you. Trent McDuffie, he's a great slot corner, but not a great corner. Certified or imposter?
I want it to be imposter, but I kind of feel like it's certified this season. Like, I just think he's such an incredible playmaker out of the slot that it started the season looking like so elite. And then when they didn't have the other outside corner to like really take pressure off of him to where they could like move him around and utilize him as the weapon that we know that he is and the game breaker that he can be, like, then we saw the struggles like start to pile up. And I do like question with him because he is a smaller cornerback, whether or not there's just simply like physical limitations to his game as an outside corner. And we've seen him just look like he is the best slot playmaking cornerback in the NFL. And that's like definitive. Like, you can definitively say that about him as a player. And so I feel like it is certified that he is a great slot corner, but not like an elite outside corner.
For me, I think people hear us talk about this, Ron, Chiefs fans specifically, and they immediately push back at even the notion that he's not just a slot corner. Like, he's one of the elite corners in the NFL, blah, blah, blah. I think it's okay to just be an elite slot corner. Like, I don't think that's necessarily inherently a bad thing. I remember Chris Harris Jr. with the Denver Broncos was an absolutely terrifying guy to go up against because you knew, hey, if your best receiver's trying to line up in the slot, good luck, because that guy's going to erase him. Like, you got no chance of being able to get anything going on Chris Harris Jr. when he was in his prime with the Denver Broncos in the mid-2010s. And I think that's what Trent McDuffie is. I think this is certified. I think Trent McDuffie is an elite slot corner, and I think he's a guy that can play on the outside. If you need him to play on the outside, he can do it. He's still pretty good out there, but he is not the same guy. He's not the same weapon that he is on the interior. And I think it's actually harder at this point in time to find, especially in Spags' scheme, good players in the slot than it is to find those guys that can line up outside. I think you can find guys that are big, physical, fast, and they can mostly do what Spags is going to be asking of them. So I think it's actually more important to have a guy with McDuffie's skill set. This just happens to be the year where they didn't find any of those dudes in free agency. So I'm saying this is certified, but I don't think it's necessarily like this death knell and what he is as a player, that he's not as good as people have made him out to be. He's an awesome player. He just has a specific role to fill.
Yeah, I think it's hard not to. It's a certified. It's hard not to come off of that. And I think we all looked at it and was like, oh shoot, L'Jarius Sneed, hell, he just did it. He just switched over in the same system. He switched over. But I think a key thing that makes this the case, and Serda brought it up, was, see, L'Jarius Sneed was a great slot corner, a great blitzer and all of that, a great tackler. But L'Jarius Sneed always had the size to play outside. McDuffie, when he gets out there and the size, like that's why Denver, like Joshua Williams, and I was done with him, but like that matchup, Joshua Williams has to be out there to be able for them to play against Cortland Sutton and that size. You could just see that he is physically being, and I just think his size prevents him from doing that. And that, because we talked about it before, L'Jarius Sneed was able to do it, but L'Jarius Sneed is a guy that absolutely bump and run and threw AJ Brown into the ground. Like he hit AJ Brown at the line of scrimmage, and AJ Brown went to the ground. Trent McDuffie ain't got that in him. He ain't got that in his backside or anywhere like that. So for me, I think it's certified, and I think, and that's the part though. It is certified that he is an elite corner, a really great corner in the slot, but just cool on the outside. The scary part is he's still the best guy on this team, outside or inside. And that's the other scary proposition is if you move him inside, clearly he's great. But when you take him away from outside, like unless it's Joshua Williams or what, like he's still better than everybody else they put out there. And I think that's why Spags has probably done that. So I think it is certified. All right, the prediction time. This is I don't know. Will they clinch the West if they win this? Do they clinch it?
I think yes. I think I saw that earlier this week, but I don't want to say that with any confidence because I'm leaking confidence.
Denver's 8-5, and they're 8-5. Like they would be 12-1, and they'd be 8-5 because they're 8-4.
Yes,
that's correct. Yeah, they would clinch.
Yeah. Okay. So, they had a tight one before, one possession game in LA. BK, your predictions, Chiefs, Chargers in Arrowhead.
Dude, this is a tough one. So the over-under for the game is listed at 42.5, which feels almost exactly right to me. Chiefs are a 4-point home favorite. I get the feeling that this is going to be one of those everybody wants to pull their hair out by the end of the game types of games. And this had that feeling prior to any of what we've seen over the last few weeks. I'm going to go with Chiefs win 23-20. I don't feel great about that, but it's Sunday Night Football. You're going up against a team you got to beat. You're about to start this stretch of 3 games in 10 days. I think this is the one they get, and then I think the stuff could get a little wonky over the next few weeks, but I think they win this one 23-20.
All right, Serda.
Yeah, I feel like it's easy to just be like, oh, I don't have any confidence in the Chiefs right now. And the Chargers are playing well, even though they lost the Ravens 2 weeks ago. But they're young and they're fun and they're entertaining. And Jim Harbaugh is a cool coach and all of that stuff. But I think the Chargers still have some problems that are going to hold them back this season. And I do think this is the kind of game where we have seen them step up before. It's a divisional matchup, Sunday Night Football. You can win the division. You're coming off some rough performances, even though you haven't lost any games that you shouldn't have outside of the Bills game. Like, I just think the Chiefs are going to show up with the good stuff in some capacity. And I think we're going to get them to treat this like it is the significant matchup that it truly is. And so I think they're going to do just enough. I still think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a really entertaining game, but I got the Chiefs winning 27-24.
Yeah, I don't know if they're going to bring the good stuff. I don't know if they're going to bring the good stuff. Hell, they don't really give you a lot of confidence that they are going to bring good stuff. I don't know what stuff.
I just have hope. I
know you have hope, but what they do is they bring. I'll tell you what they do. They bring enough stuff for the game to be tight, and I believe the game is going to be tight. And then I have to ask myself, well, who do I trust? Do I trust Andy, Pat, Spags, Chris Jones, company, or do I trust Justin Herbert and Jim Harbaugh, their staff, and I trust the Chiefs. I know the game's going to be close, and I trust the Chiefs more at home to be able to pull it out. And I'm going to go 23-20. Same. Is that what your score was? Yeah, 23-20. It feels like that. To me, 24-21, something like that, a 3-point game in the 20s. I don't believe that the Chiefs are going, like, this is going to be I'll be shocked if we come in, not shocked. I'll be surprised if we come in next week on showing BK, or if I come in on, I think I'm doing the post game with you. I'll be surprised, Serda, if we're doing the post game Sunday night after the game, and this is one where the Chiefs ran away from the Chargers. Like, I'll be surprised if this is, like, I would love for the Chiefs to give us just one game in which they show us why they can win the Super Bowl. Like, right now, I think we all believe the Chiefs can win the Super Bowl because they're the Chiefs. I don't know that they've necessarily shown us anything in any games here down in the last, I don't know, 10, 12 weeks that would suggest, yeah, we can go win we can win the Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to have this game, but I do think it'll be tight, and I think they will make plays like they do. They live in this, and they've got players I trust more to make plays. So I'll go 23-20, just like you did. Should be fun. I hope I'm wrong. I hope we're in that post-game show and we're talking about that thing. And hey, the Chiefs, this is what we've been waiting on. We've been waiting on the worthy connection. We've been waiting on them to hit on all cylinders. I just don't know if this is it. We are out.